Natter with me, Charlie Hart, and Tony Horn, who's going to introduce today.
Yeah, so hi everyone. So yeah, episode 20, can't believe it. So today the key subject today is AuDHD. So for those who are not AuDHD, or for those who don't know the term AuDHD, it's when someone is both autistic and ADHD. And it can feel like two parts of your brain wanting to have completely different things. The ADHD part kind of craves novelty, excitement, stimulation, spontaneity, and the autistic part may need routine, predictability, clarity, and recovery time. So you can want, change and fear change all at the same time. And the importance for this subject today is that both myself and Charlie are all ADHD. And we just wanted to get some narratives out there around some personal experiences, as around the other people's experiences around ADHD as well. I described my ADHD is being like having one part of my two brains saying, let's do something really exciting, and the other part of my brain saying, absolutely not. That's how I explain mine.
Yeah, definitely. And the other interesting thing as well is we've got the shared experience of being diagnosed autistic first, and then it taking a few more years before we thought, actually, there's definitely traits of ADHD there as well. Maybe I should look into that. I think I might have nudged you to go for your ADHD.
You did nudge me, Charlie, yeah.
Yeah, I just assumed you knew. I think I described you as AuDHD a few times, and you were like, actually, I'm not ADHD. And I was thinking, yes, you are.
Yeah. And I just think I was in denial around it, if I'm more than anything.
Yeah.
I do think I was in just pure denial. I think I recognised it, but just didn't acknowledge it.
Yeah, definitely. So you knew deep down, but it's. I think it's a really good news story when we do identify that, but it comes with so many kind of difficulties that people might not think about unless they share that blended neurotype. So I've got a few questions to ask you for a change. I'm quite often letting you do all the questioning while I do that really autistic thing of just talking and not asking anything back. But yeah, I'm going to have to put my reading glasses on. Have you ever had someone say you don't look autistic or you don't act autistic? And how did that make you feel?
I've had it so many times. So many times where, oh, you don't strike me as someone with autism is one of the things I get as well. And I always think, what exactly were you expecting autism to look like? Autism doesn't have one face, one voice, one personality, and one way of being. And again, I think it comes from the stereotypes of what autistic looks like. The fact that I don't, automatically like the brightest person in the room, or I don't know how I'm supposed to act when somebody says you're not autistic. But when someone says
it, autism for the lady. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you say you don't look autistic, they may think that they're being kind, but actually it can feel really invalidating. And it suggests autism is, only has real merit if it matches stereotypes in someone else's head. And I think that's what I struggle with. Because again, with AuDHD, the ADHD can sometimes hide the autistic side. People might.
Sorry, go on. That's so AuDHD.
It's just that some people might see the really chatty, funny, confident side of me and can assume that, well, you can't be autistic because you're all those things. But what they don't always see is the sensory overload, the anxiety, the planning, the masking, and the recovery time I need afterwards, all that stuff as well.
Definitely, hard relate. So I had the same thing before I knew I was before I knew I was ADHD. So I knew I was autistic, and meeting new neighbours when I moved to this part of the village, they all seemed surprised when I said I was autistic, because they'd say things like, but you seem quite sociable, and I could have a two-way conversation with them and everything. But it's only when they saw me in distress that they realised I was autistic. So seeing me with sensory overload at one of our birthday parties where the music was too loud and the lights were too lighty, and I ended up actually sitting there like that. And because I'd told them all I was autistic, and then they recognised it. They recognised the traits. They recognised the signs. But those are signs of an autistic person in distress. But it did mean, because I had been open about my neurotype, that they were then compassionate and supportive. Not that they turned the music down, but
No.
at least weren't thinking, oh, she's just being antisocial and no fun at all. But yeah, I definitely think one can mask the other. So mostly in my working career, I've had inattentive ADHD all along, but because I like to plan and prepare, my autistic dominant neurotype kind of got in the driving seat for that.
Yeah.
But what do you wish people understood about being an AuDHD woman?
So again, it's understanding that part of me needs that clarity, routine, and predictability, like you just said, and safety, and time to process as well, more than anything. I need to know what's happening and what is expected and who will be there, how long it will last, the energy. But I think also, what people need to experience, what understand about women, particularly, is that there is a huge amount of women that have gone undiagnosed for a very, very long time. And even if you're just autistic or just ADHD or you're combined, there would have been a huge amount of element of masking throughout your younger years to kind of disguise some of those traits. And again, when somebody says to you, bring your authentic self to work, right? So again, I
Those
love the
people are so privileged if they think that bringing your authentic self to work is going to do anything other than end in tears.
absolutely, because then again, as a woman, there is other expectations on you in society around, don't be too emotional, don't do this, you're in a man's world, you're at blah 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 blah. And again, that will make you mask your neurodivergent traits, whatever neurodivergence that you have. So again, it's understanding in women is that there is two sides to me, and that's absolutely true. There is two sides to me. There is a side of me that you see as confident and outgoing, and some probably a lot of the time outspoken. But there's another side of me that goes, oh, sod that. I'm going to close the laptop and go on holiday for a week.
Yeah,
But
definitely. And I think it's totally standard to have a work persona, because like I swear a lot, for instance, in my home life, and I'm quite casual how I sit and how my body language and how I dress and everything, and it would definitely be judged as not being professional unless I had my professional veneer as well. But it's oh god, no, I'm so ADHD. I completely forgot the other point I was going to make. So never mind. Oh yeah. It's when people don't see how much we're masking. To me, I get this. I've got this image of like a swan that glides gracefully across the surface of the lake, and people don't see its big, awkward-looking feet pedaling furiously underneath. So it's only when it gets out of the lake and you think, oh, that's very awkward looking, and it's got like these massive feet, and it's so it's basically when it's outside of its comfort zone, that's when people think it looks awkward, and that's kind of how I feel. But
I'll
the
give you an
public
example.
face is just when I've got the gloss on, and it's
Yeah.
they're not going to realise how hard it is.
I'll give you an example where it showed up this week. So I was invited to this very lovely conference on Monday called Belonging Matters, and I was speaking there. And the minute I arrived, my anxiety was through the roof because I don't like being somewhere unknown. I didn't know anybody there. Even the organizer I'd spoken to a couple of times. And I felt in that moment really isolated and alone and out of place. And it wasn't because they made me feel out of place, it's because the situation that I was in, where I took myself off into a quiet room. But then when I started talking, I felt the most comfortable, naturalist state I'm ever have on stage, talking about something I'm absolutely passionate about. And then the minute that people come and spoke to me afterwards, again, I came across as confident, and I felt confident, and I felt able to do it, because the difference is when people are coming to talk to me afterwards, I know exactly what they're talking to me about. I know they're going to be asking me questions on something I've just presented,
Yeah.
and actually I feel really comfortable doing that. But then straight after that, they were all asked to go downstairs and go into the lunchroom and lunch. One, the noise within there was too loud for me, and two, because I didn't have anybody like to be with me, my instant reaction was run, get out of
Oh,
here.
I'd come with you.
But my
Yeah.
instant reaction, and this is my common reaction to most places that I go and talk where I'm invited. I didn't stay for lunch because my flight mode kicked in of I've got to get out of here, I've got to go. And again, that I think that's another kind of example of AuDHD, of that I can be that confident, very outspoken, very flamboyant person in certain moments, and other moments I feel like the smallest person in the room and I want to hide.
Yeah, totally relatable. And I sometimes work with my friend Lucy Hobbs, who's the founder of the Future is ND. So just to reiterate what you were saying, when I've been at her events and I've not been on the stage, so I've wanted to help, but I've done something like help people check in or shown people in the lift up to the event space, I have been awkward as fuck. And like my Garmin has been saying to me things like, you have an unusually high stress level. Do you need to do some breathing exercises? Because I feel the pressure to make people feel comfortable, knowing that they're neurodivergent and awkward in the space. But then I am as well. Uh, and then when she started giving me opportunities to MC events and compare a comedy night, I was thinking, thank fuck for that. I can script this and I'm going to sparkle
Yeah,
and shine.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's so much easier. But I don't think that many people who are purely autistic rather than ADHD do put themselves out there like that and under the spotlight and on the stage like that. So I think it's a real strength with ADHD that we can do that.
Yeah, I do.
So next is, what is one moment where your ADHD wanted to do something and your autistic side immediately filed a complaint? I
Being
love that.
sociable. It's always about being sociable, because my ADHD is like, yeah, let's go. That sounds so much fun. That's going to be great fun. And then my autistic side says, sorry, who approved this? Where's the plan? What's the exit strategy? Why are we not consulting each other on this? And
Yeah,
again, being sociable is not the same as socially comfortable. I think there's a two difference, and some autistic and ADHD people can, be funny, chatty, confident, and still feel exhausted and anxious and overwhelmed afterwards. Again, it's that RSD kicks in after an event or after I've spoken to somebody of, oh, was I talking too much? Was I talking too much about me and my family? Did I ask them any questions? And all this stuff goes around in my head. So people see me talking, laughing, and presenting as confident and assume that that means I can't be autistic. Surely not.
absolutely. Yeah,
But they,
I
they
think
don't
that
see what the
that
cost is
kind
to
of,
me.
that's
Yeah.
definitely one of the things that caused my autism not to be picked up until I was 42, because people thought I was confident. I actually wasn't. I've always been really shy, but I can brazen it out if it's a group of people talking about a subject that I know about, or if I have a social lubricant like alcohol to help me through it. But then, yeah, I quite often crash and burn.
I've had friends in the past and like, oh, you're like the most confident person in the group. I'm like, I'm really not. You really don't understand. I'm not. I might be the one that says it as it is, and I might be. If there's a situation where we're lost, and I'll be the first person marching up to somebody in uniform and asking where we're going. Doesn't mean that I'm confident. It means I need information.
Absolutely. There's some great comments coming through in the chat, by the way.
Good.
I've got Nicola here saying, I have to put an invisible lid on myself in some situations and keep myself contained. That can be draining and harmful. Yeah, totally. And then Thomas is saying, yeah, you overshare and then walk away thinking, did I just trauma dump?
I've done that many a time.
I don't think I've ever done events with fellow AuDHD women where I haven't had a text the next day saying, I've been ruminating about yesterday. Was my performance crap? Did I go on too much? Did I forget the main points? Did everyone hate me? Should I just give up now? Shall I never speak again?
Been there, done it.
Catastrophizing.
Do you know what the nice thing was on Monday, actually, at the conference? I actually said, after this talk, I'm going to be ruminating about everything I've done, and I've analysed everyone's face in the audience, thinking, were they interested? Did this land? Da, da, da. And I think the nice thing when I did that, it's the first time I've done it, I had so many people come up to me and go, I just wanted to come and tell you that was brilliant because I don't want your RSD kicking in. And I was like, that is so nice of you
Yeah,
that you've actively come and told me that you thought this was really good because you didn't want me to have that catastrophic thinking afterwards.
definitely.
So I think I'm going to do that more often, to be fair.
And it tends to be other people who share our neurotype. I really struggle to say neuro, which is not great when you're a neurodiversity speaker.
Try and spell in dyslexic when you're dyslexic, Charlie.
Yeah. God, why does the world do this to us?
Just against us.
It tends to be people who share our neurotype who are empathic like that, and they will realize what spirals we might go into and they'll try and catch us before we go down the spirals. And yet allegedly autistic people lack empathy. That's such a fundamental display of empathy, I think.
I say we've got too much empathy on, if I'm honest.
What's been the hardest part of being AuDHD at work? Is it the work itself or everything around work?
So the reality, many AuDHD people can look, we look highly capable at work while privately feeling completely overwhelmed underneath. And again, I think that's where the people pleasing comes in of everything feels urgent because I need to help everybody, because I need to be seen as capable, I need to be seen as helpful. But in the workplace, it looks like I'm a high performer, but on the outside, but absolutely completely exhausted on the inside.
Because you're delivering to all the people that you want them to approve of you and to think you're good at your job and everything. So
yeah, and again,
the cost to yourself sometimes, I should think.
Yeah, and they see the finished project, the confident meeting host, the ideas, the humour, the problem solving, but they don't see all the preparation that went in to be that person, all the pre-prep that went in, and all the prep afterwards. And I've spoken about this a lot before. I had my own workplace needs assessment, that I was doing so much more work than my peers, that I was compensating for my neurodivergence to be that person to show up.
Absolutely, yeah. I think a lot of us will be able to relate to that. And I had like an iron grip on my workload in my 20 years in HR. There was never anything someone asked me to do that I didn't add to my task list and work out how urgent it is and when I needed to start it. Like, my need for control was extreme. And then I moved to a different job still in HR, but where it was impossible to keep on top of the workload because the emails were coming in all the time and the system was flaky as hell. And I just couldn't have that control. And this caused me to be extremely dysregulated and quite often volcanic. But people at work wouldn't see that. It's my husband and kids who would see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Dave said to me, so when I left corporate, obviously, I was there for 17 years and I was in banking. Whoever's listening to this, don't hold that against me. And he said to me that the way that I work now to where the way I was working then, there's such a shift in me where I do. There is times where I work to 10 o'clock at night where I'm completely hyper focused on something I'm passionate about. But back then I was working to catch up rather than focusing on the things that I enjoy doing. And that there's a different context of I don't mind hyper focusing on my business and doing the things that I enjoy doing. But back then I'm working more and harder. And he said, you were just completely exhausted all the time. And there
Yeah,
wasn't nothing left for me and him at the end of the night.
I can
You know,
imagine. Yeah, and then you have kids as well, and
absolutely. And they were young, a lot younger then as well, and they kept me on my toes. And they're both ADHD, so you can imagine they're very boisterous ADHD as well, may I add. So yeah, so that there was never enough headspace for me in those moments.
I always used to end up burning out because the amount of planning that I had to do and preparation I had to do. So rather than catching up, it's keeping on top of everything. And I'm still doing it now, but to a lesser extent now. I'm self-employed. So this is episode 20, and
Yeah,
I've only just worked out how to put the video onto my streaming platform rather than adding it afterwards every single month in the video editing software.
you're
So
better than me.
little things like that. If I do something now that takes half an hour and will save me time every month, that's how I used to work all the time before perimenopause, before ADHD kind of took over a bit. So
Yeah.
it's the fluctuation as well. We talk about my dominant neurotype is autistic, so I'm AuDHD. I know people who are ADHD with autistic traits, like my friend Renee and my husband's side. Renee calls that ADHDistic. It's like ADHD with
I
a bit
think I'm
of autism.
ADHDistic,
Yeah, could
I don't
be. Yeah,
know. I never know.
yeah.
I
But I love how we can coin our own words to describe our experience because we get power in that compared with using the pathological terms from the medical model of disability.
I still need to find one for ADHD, autism, and dyslexic. I mean, that's a mouthful in itself.
Yeah, ADHD. Yeah, ADHD. No,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
like the disses. Yeah,
Maybe I'll
the
have to have it to
disorders.
chat.
Yeah,
Give me my own acronym.
yeah. So AuDHDistic as fuck works. I think AuDHDistic as fuck. Yeah,
She's just her. It's just ignore her. It's Tony. Um,
yeah.
and again,
AuDHDis. Yeah, my brain's gone off down a rabbit hole
no,
now.
don't do it to yourself, Charlie. Don't do it.
Yeah,
And I think like you show up when you say it shows up in different ways all the time because coming back to a keynote, I can deliver a keynote, run a meeting, no, support everyone else's needs, but please don't change the meeting room at the last minute and ask me to reply to a vague email with no content because I can't do it. But I can do all the big stuff. If you're changing the little stuff, that's when my head goes.
yeah, yeah. So I'm a really confident speaker, but if you get me in a meeting, like a client sales call or a pre-meeting or something, and someone suggests that we throw a few ideas around and brainstorm a bit about the structure or what we're going to cover, and it's like my thoughts just, I might have one thought and then another, and they just smash together and fragment into smithereens. But if they sent me an email saying, have you got some ideas about the structure, then I'll be able to do that, because I just need that processing time rather than trying to hold a conversation whilst thinking as well.
And I think for the purpose of the podcast, I think obviously me and you are talking very much about ourselves and what our representation of ADHD is. And I think ADHD can look different for every person.
Oh
So
yeah,
some of us are loud, some quiet, some organised, some chaotic, and many of us are those, depending on what day it is as well. We could be all of them at once. We could be some of them some days. But
yeah,
what really matters is the understanding of ourselves without shame. And I think that's really important. It's like once you start understanding who you are, then it's to kind of embrace it.
definitely. So I read something once that really stuck with me, and I'm afraid I can't remember whose post it was, but they said, if you've got like a quirk or an awkwardness or something, to rather than apologizing for it, just think that's all part of my charm. So I say that now. Yeah, I'm a bit awkward at times, and I might bump into the door frame and don't kiss me on both cheeks because I will fuck it up and break your nose. But it's all part of my charm.
Oh, I can't stand the two kissing, Charlie. I'm with you on that. Just give me a kiss on the cheek. If
Just
I let
much
off,
rather have a hug. It's
I would much rather have a
yeah,
hug, to be fair. I don't mind a hug, but I find the kissing all really awkward.
yeah, me too. And what was I going to say? Yeah, I've coined a hashtag as well for this thing. So when
Love it.
we embrace our neurotype and don't feel shame about it, hashtag make no apology for your neurology.
Love that. I think it's really good for the audience to know as well. I follow Charlie on Substack. Have I said that right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
Substack.
yeah. My blogs are on Substack now.
Yeah, I would say follow Charlie Substack because she's got some really great articles and blogs and chats on there. And if you want anything more practical and boring, go to my blogs on NeuroWomen Power and kind of talk about this stuff in work. So all the creative, fun stuff, Charlie. All the boring corporate goes,
They
but
don't
go to
bore
my
me.
blog.
Yeah.
Mine are
I
more
get to
practical. Yours are more
hang around
reality.
with you when you're just being my friend and you've dropped the corporate veneer. But
Yeah.
it's all good anyway. So if you're going to plug me, I'm going to say Tony makes really nice short form videos as well. So
Oh,
please
thanks,
follow her on
Charlie.
TikTok and YouTube and Instagram.
Thanks.
Did I forget
Look at us
anything?
praising each other. It's
Yeah,
women power.
yeah. We have to adjust each other's crowns, I think.
We do. Have we had any more questions or any more
Um,
comments?
no, so I read out a couple. There's a couple of new people I think that haven't been here before. Maria, nice to meet you. Maria's
Welcome.
a neurodiverse. I'm going to put my reading glasses back on.
Put your glasses on, love.
Neurodiverse glass artist, tutor and designer, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, potential ADHD. So again, like AuDHD, everything as fuck. Nice to meet you. I wonder what autism looks like, says Nicola. Yeah, it only has a look if we're dysregulated, I think, and if we've got our hands over our ears or we're covering our eyes from the lights or we're rocking backwards and forwards. So
So another example of that, I had friends round, and for some reason, all of a sudden, I had about 8 kids come into my house because my children thought it was a really good idea to invite all their friends round because I had friends round. And in that moment, the noise, I just couldn't cope with it.
yeah,
But I'm running a holiday club for SEND children in August, and people are like, well, how can you run a children's club if you can't even? I said because I wasn't expecting it.
don't forget your loops when you do that.
I would not be forgetting my loops when I do that. But again, it was the urgency of this noise. I can't cope in this moment. This wasn't supposed to be here. If I'm in a setting, again, I can go to a concert and listen to the loudest music and be absolutely fine. But the minute that I'm out in the crowd and I can hear all the chit chat, I crumble.
This is
So
what my
again,
kids are like as well, and particularly Jay, my younger one. So Jay likes loud music. When she was a toddler, she would literally lie on the floor next to our PA system if we were having band practice. But other people's noise and like everyone talking at once is really hard for her. As he struggles with misophonia, so doesn't like being around a dinner table with other people because of the noise of eating and cutlery as well, cutlery
yeah,
scraping on plates.
I don't make a tooth go funny even saying it.
Yeah,
And again, I think that's what we need to recognise, right? Is that there's different moments that can be disabling for us and challenging, and there's other moments where we can absolutely thrive and come alive, in a crisis or in a
yeah,
moment. And again, we're all completely different.
absolutely. Yeah, and vive la différence. I love it. The
Brilliant.
diversity of humanity is a beauteous thing.
It is. Well, it's 2 o'clock. That went quick.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us, people joining in the chat. And we'll see you next month for another episode of NeuroWomen Natter.
And let us know